Whew. Hello, welcome back to my channel. For those of you who don't know, I am Danielle. Today I'm going to be actually talking about something that has near and dear to my heart, and that is grief, and having the right support as in supporting yourself, but then also other people supporting you. So in today's video, I'm going to give you some advice or, you know, just things that you could do during the holiday season to make things go a little bit easier. I know it's not going to be easy, but just to make things, even if it's just this most smidgen easier, I just want to give you guys that kind of love and support for this extremely hard time during the year. I'm gonna give a disclaimer now. These tips can be used for anyone who is grieving during the holidays, but since child and pregnancy loss is what I have experienced and the advice that I really feel like I have knowledge in, that's kind of what I'm talking about. But a lot of these tips can be applicable to someone who is grieving a different type of loss. The first couple tips will be for people who are grieving, and then the last few tips will be for advice for how to support those who are grieving. I know that, you know, in my experience, I've had people come up to me saying, I just don't know how to support you. And so I hope that some of these tips can just be super helpful for those who don't feel comfortable enough asking the person who is grieving, but can kind of give them like an idea of maybe things they can do for that person, just to kind of make them feel a lot more comfortable. I also want to say I'm sick or allergies, I'm not really sure, so sorry for that, but we gotta get this video done. Let's just get into these tips. Tip number one, for anyone who's grieving, I know it sounds really silly, but schedule downtime for yourself. I know, like, it sounds really silly and you're like, oh, like I have downtime all the time. Like, no. Go into your little calendar and literally pencil in, or no, write it in pen because you are not erasing it, downtime for yourself. Give yourself that time because you're really going to appreciate yourself in the moment when everything is, you know, crazy and, you know, like how the holidays get, and you have that moment of time to just sit with yourself and be able to either grieve or just take a breath and kind of just be away from everybody else. So it is super, super important to schedule downtime. Number two, so this one, we actually got this advice from one of our, two of our very good friends. They actually do have a YouTube channel, All Things Dirt. So the Dirtnalls, Abby and Alana, my heart, they seriously were our saving grace in the weeks and months and even years after losing Garrett. But they gave us the best advice, and now I'm going to give it to you. Have a gotta go word with your spouse or whoever you're with. And as soon as you say that word, you're out of there, no questions asked. We can't always control when we will be triggered, and we can't always control the situation, but we can control removing ourselves from the situation. And don't ever feel guilty for needing to remove yourself from the situation. Ever. Have a gotta go word. Or if like you have no problem just like going up to your spouse and being like, hey, ready to go? Know that that is, I'm not asking you, I'm telling you, get your coat, we're getting our butts out of here. Because there is gonna be a moment where you need that technically it's a safe word. You technically need that safe word or phrase to get the heck out of what situation you're in. But it's literally a lifesaver. Even just knowing you have it as an option can make any sort of event or whatever you're going to so much easier, because you know at any moment you can control that you need to leave. So yes, thank you Abby and Alana for that incredible tip, because it has seriously saved our butts a few times. Number 3 is create a tradition that is specifically for the person that you lost. For us, we actually don't have any Christmas traditions. I would really like to start one for, sorry. Cookie is in rare form today. Start a tradition, and that is something that can obviously change over time as whatever works or doesn't work, you know, in the moment. But yeah, I would really love to have some sort of tradition for Garrett every year, especially if we do get lucky enough to have more kids, so that they know that like Garrett is a part of our family and is involved in Christmas and all that stuff. So just come up with a tradition, and it doesn't have to be big or anything like that. Like it could just be like, you hang a specific ornament on your tree every year, but it always has to go in like at the top, so you know like it's like super important to you, or something like something little like that. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to move mountains here, but just like something that is specifically for that person you lost. I feel like it is extremely important. The last tip that I have, which I actually find to be a really good idea, and this one is going to be more specific for anyone who has lost a child, because once you get older, I feel like this wouldn't be as appropriate. But during the holiday season, go out and buy an age-appropriate toy for your kid and donate it. So Heather and I are actually doing it this year. I'm lucky enough that my school is actually participating in Toys for Tots. So we are going to go to the store and get an age-appropriate toy that would be for Garrett, and we're gonna donate it. So yeah, I'm really excited. I hope that we do keep this tradition. I know like once like it gets a little bit later in life, we're gonna have to figure out something else. But for right now, because like he just had his 2nd birthday, I feel like it's something really cool that we can definitely do for him. All right, now we're gonna get into the portion where now I'm gonna be talking to the people who are supporting the people who are grieving during the holiday season. And honestly, I'm gonna say this now, I don't care if the person lost this person the day before the holidays or 20 years. You need to, like, these tips are forever, okay? Okay. Number 1, ask the grievers if they need anything from you or for the event that you are hosting prior to the event. I know it might sound like, well, I don't want to bring it up and I don't want to make them sad. No, they will appreciate that you took the time to understand that this might be really hard for them, and that you see them as like, hey, this is going to be really hard for me, but it's really nice to know that they would accommodate in however way that they could. I mean, obviously, if they like all in the scheme of like for their grief, like I'm not saying like they're like, well, it would really make me feel better if I had $1 million, like, but if they're like, hey, I would really, okay, like maybe they'd be like, hey, I would really appreciate you just not bringing up my baby or the person who passed while I'm there, because I just know I won't be able to hold it together. Like something like that, like that might be something that they want, or maybe it's the opposite. Maybe they want to talk about the person that they lost and they don't want anyone to feel uncomfortable. So it gives the host, or yeah, who's ever hosting, gives them the opportunity to bring up that person, baby, whatever, whoever, sorry, that it then makes the rest of the guests understand like, oh, hey, like they're okay talking about it, or oh, we're just gonna not talk about it. So just keep that in mind. But honestly, just asking, because most of the time people are gonna be like, no, it's fine. Just asking helps the person who's grieving feel seen and feel loved. And that's the most important thing. Number 2, do not isolate the grieving. You sending one text message one time asking if, or telling them if they need anything, they can contact you, is not enough. Okay? Okay. There was a little anger in that. I'm sorry. But no, it is true. You have to kind of understand that, especially in the early days of grief, and especially during the holidays, it might be hard for that person who's grieving to express what they need. So give them time, but also then ask again or invite them out again. Or if you see them at an event, don't let them sit by themselves. Just make sure that they are enveloped in love the entire time that you're with them. And I know it might be a little bit more work on your end, but it was a lot of work for them to come. So even just putting in a teeny tiny amount of effort and like hang out with them and make sure that they feel loved and that people are with them is huge. Number 3, understand if the person who's grieving doesn't come. Like they might even say, yeah, we're coming, da da da, like they might RSVP yes, but the day of, if they're not having a good day, like you have to be more than okay with them saying, hey, today's just really not a good day. I'm so sorry. I'm gonna have to like not, you know, whatever. And that also kind of goes back to like it also goes back to don't making them feel isolated. So next time you have an event, still invite them, because it might have just been that one day that they just couldn't bring themselves to go out. So, but yeah, just have some understanding and compassion that they're not gonna have the energy and the capability to be on for an event or something, and they might just decide, hey, it's just not worth it, we're just gonna stay home. And lastly, unless told otherwise, do not be afraid to bring up that person's baby or, you know, person that they lost. Don't be afraid to make, they're already sad. You can't make them sadder by bringing up their baby or their husband, you know, or their spouse or their grandparent or their friend. You can't make them any sadder. If anything, it just kind of gives them a little bit of a gateway to be able to talk about the person that they lost, especially during those important time of the year. If you do bring up that person and they say, hey, I'm not ready to talk about it, then back off. But most of the time, the person who's grieving wants to be able to talk about the person that they lost, especially during the most family-centric holiday of the year. So, yeah. So that's all I have. If there are any tips that you guys that you have that you think I missed, please leave them down below. I would definitely do a part 2 if I had more tips. And I'm honestly gonna do some research on this because I feel like there are more tips out there on how to, I just wanna help everyone be able to enjoy the holidays even during a time of grief. And I know that sounds impossible, but even if it could just make it an eensy-weensy bit easier, I want that for you. So I want to wish everyone a happy holidays, and yeah, just remember, you the best, and I will see you on Friday with another video. Bye.